England over Tonga, 69 points to 3. It's another wee bit of a hiding. We'll go through some of the key points, some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. I may get this all as a jumbled mess because this is like the fifth game I've watched kind of back to back to back to back. But yeah, I feel like I know what went on. We will kind of see. But yeah, it was a bit of a disjointed build-up for England with Owen Farrell testing positive for COVID like less than 48 hours before the game, so not being able to complete the captain's run. And then with Marcus Smith having had a niggling injury all week and not really having trained, Eddie Jones didn't want to chuck him in at 10. So they ended up starting Furbank at 10, which can't have been ideal preparation, but I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was a solid shift from him, I thought. Tonga, obviously, they've just got their guys released from their clubs last week, so prep time for them also pretty limited, and maybe that kind of showed towards the tail end of the game when it did become a bit of a rout. But man, great crowd, really good to see. Kind of Twickenham in full force, like 82,000 people there or whatever the number was. But yeah, really in good voice early. You could hear them singing and getting behind the team. So, yeah, good start to the game. Laws was captain for this one, which was good to see for him as well. Interestingly, it started with a bit of a hiss and a roar with Rudwan getting an early try. And he was interesting in that he was like everywhere at the end and great at the start. Kind of didn't see much ball for some periods of the game. But I guess that's kind of a winger's life, isn't it? They did have to check the grounding with him. He was down one wing 1 minute, and then he was scoring a try on the other wing the next. So, kind of, firing start and 5 points to nil with the misconversion. Slade having to do the goal kicking. Did miss a few, but again, he probably wasn't expecting to be doing the goal kicking. Hasn't he been kicking a bit for Exeter recently? But either way, he did miss a few. I mentioned Furbank, at 10 at one point early, kind of. He ran into Tuilangi. It was like a, accidental, obstruction. So just a little bit of disjointedness, but that's kind of to be expected given he's not supposed to be playing 10 for his country, but unfamiliar. But yeah, kind of got more to grips with it as the game went on. Tonga did win a penalty at the scrum, which was a good chance to attack. But then when they did kind of finally look to be unlocking his defence, Tuilangi managed to pinch the final pass from Tonga. So absolutely shut that move down. And good to see him in full flight again as well after, not playing for England for a really extended period of time. 12 minutes, England had a really big period of pressure and they ended up paying off with Jamie George going over the first of his 2 tries. It was a maul, of course, and he, close range. You don't need to give that guy any kind of invitation because he will just snap it up. Missed conversion again, makes it 10 points to nil. Tonga do take a shot at goal through Takalua. Fiver was doing the kicking last week against Tonga. Not Tonga, he is Tongan. Against Scotland. And he was on the bench this week, so it's to Takalua the kicking went. He missed the first one, but a couple of minutes later, they had another shot from the other side, and that one he did get. So 10 points to 3 is still game on, but that's the end of the scoring for the Tongans, unfortunately. Furbank has a big line break on 23 minutes. Talmoipio has a big covering tackle, but it's high, so he gets penalised. And to be fair, the penalty count and the discipline thing for Tonga, some cards, man, was really kind of a bad story for them because they were absolutely getting hosed with the referee's whistle and some cards. I mean, some of the tackles were high. I mean, that one was kind of a classic seatbelt. There's no malice in it, but he's just trying to scramble and grab somebody. He gets him a bit high, kind of over the shoulder. So it is a penalty conceded. I don't think England scored initially from that penalty. I think Tonga held them out for a bit, but on 28 minutes, 29, they did get one eventually through Johnny May out on the other wing. So it took a wee while to crack it down, but they got it. Tuilangi a big run in the build-up to kind of get going forward. 17 points to 3, looking pretty comfortable. First of those cards that I mentioned, Solomon Akata He's going for a high ball. It's kind of tough. He's a rugby league convert, so his high ball skills are probably not what they could be. It's always tough when two guys are jumping for a high ball. He's just too low. He kind of gets out jumped, I think, and maybe at his last moment takes his eye off the ball and drops. I don't know. I didn't see the camera angle with his eyes. But either way, he gets yellow carded. And boy, did England punish them pretty much immediately. Genge gets an inside ball. I think it's an offload. I forget who throws it to Genge. Oh, it's an inside ball from Laws, isn't it? To Genge. He trucks it up. He looks like he might go over, but he gets it to Itoje, who gets the next try on 33 minutes. So it's 7 points during the yellow card. In response, though, Tonga, you think they might collapse at this point with the man down, but Veanu gets a really good intercept. And man, I wish he'd scored. It would have been a thing of beauty, right? If they'd actually managed to kind of arrest that momentum and properly get back into the game. Veanu gets an intercept. He's running. Freddie Stewart, who's been good under the high ball when they've kicked it to him. Don't kick that guy the high ball. He cuts across to try and stop him. Veanu steps him once, but Stewart, I guess, saw the step coming, or Veanu maybe stepped just a touch too early. And Stewart's kind of able to half get him the second time, not to bring him down, but to slow him down. And then who gets there? Courtney Laws. That's proper commitment. I guess if you're a captain, you need to lead by example. It's a try-saving tackle from him. I do wish it had been a try, because it would have been a proper thing of beauty. But you've also got to admire the commitment, when you're up by a lot of points and you're still wanting to not concede any tries. That shows what the jersey means for you. Right before halftime, England do get a maul, and it goes pretty well because Takalua, as the maul kind of trucks along, a space opens up on the blind side. Takalua moves into cover. Remember, they're a man down. I guess George spots that or got a call because he went blindside, and suddenly there's a bit of a 2-on-1 developing, and Youngs ends up going over. So they did scramble the D to try and get him down, but they couldn't quite get it. So it's a try. I think, was it Genge giving Youngs some kisses on the ground? Either way, he seemed pretty chuffed that Youngs had gone over for the try. So yeah, it's a big old lead for England at halftime, and it's 29-3. They missed the conversion, but it's 12 points scored during the yellow card. I think the yellow card is pretty much expired by that point. I think Cutter comes on straight off into the second half. Unfortunately, Underhill did go off. He didn't come back on for the second half. He'd picked up a bit of a knock towards the end of the first half, which is unfortunate for him because him and Curry are a pretty good combo, even if Curry had an unfamiliar jersey number on his back. It got worse, though, for Tonga because they just got back to 15. Walter Fafita gets yellow carded for a deliberate knock on. It's one of those ones, I've mentioned it 100 times, if I've mentioned it 10. If you go for a ball one-handed for an intercept and don't get it, you're probably going to get yellow carded, or at least it's a gamble. And he does, in fact, get yellow carded. We've seen it countless times. So, yeah, back to 14 again, not long after getting the man back on the field. So both wingers have been carded. To be fair, the Tongan defence actually holds pretty well. They come out of the blocks in that second half holding pretty decently. They get a chance to attack even down towards England's 22, but they miss their line out. It's like in a game like this, I think one of the commentators mentioned that you kind of need to be on 100% if you're going to get anywhere. And just that kind of key stuff wasn't firing. Maybe that's the product of not being together for very long. Don't know. I mean, not all of that was, because the next minute from missing that line out, basically there's a try. It is a try. It's a scrum. It's a Tongan scrum. And I forget the number 8. But as he's picking up the ball from the back of the scrum, Ben Youngs just strips the ball off him. And if you're a number 8, that's going to give you nightmares. A little halfback pinching it. Just picking your pocket, man. You can't... He strips it and he's gone. So, 34 points to 3. The conversion hits the post. It's 5 points during the second yellow card. Marcus Smith comes on at that point. Another chance for Tonga. I think it's like 5 metres out from England's line. England get a turnover, so they're really keen not to concede any tries, which is not always easy to do when you're up by a big scoreline, but it is pleasing to see from England point of view. And then that's from 60 minutes, it really starts to get pretty messy. Johnny May gets one. That one was an inside ball. I think it was Youngs and gave him the ball. And my old man who was watching the game with me, even he said to me, "I'm sorry, son, but I love Johnny May. I love watching that guy play." That's how you know when you've got a 70-plus-year-old Kiwi sitting here, diehard, saying that he loves watching Johnny May play. That's when you know you've got a good guy to be watching. So that's the second try for him. It's 41-3. And it gets worse again because Fine gets red carded on 69 minutes. It's a high tackle, which is kind of bad enough in itself. But then on the ground, he put his upper forearm or elbow into Marcus Smith on the ground. It's just unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. And as the ref was telling him, "You've hit him with the elbow," it sounded like he said, "I only hit him with my upper arm." Man, don't be doing that. It must have just been frustration, absolutely. But yeah, Willie Fine gets red carded, and then from there it kind of does become a rout. Immediately they get a maul try through George, so it's 48-3. Smith gets one on 72 because Slade just finds gaps, and the gaps are starting to appear, and England are just punishing them. They're really ruthless, which is what will please Eddie Jones. After the restart, Smith's running a good support line. He seemed really pumped to score a try. 55-3. It looks like Mitchell was going to get one on debut, but then he was well in front of the kick, so that one was chalked off. Blamire got one from a Smith line break, 62-3, but then Mitchell did get one. Radwan with a big line break, loose pass, and then Mitchell with the football skills to kind of regather it. 69-3 right at the death. Yeah, it becomes a real rout with those kind of late tries, 73, 70, 73, 78, 80. Like, that's, yeah. So, man, ruthless stuff from England. Look out, Wallabies. They've got England next. Now, we haven't seen how the Wallabies are going to go yet. They've got Scotland in the Sunday game, which is like 3:15 in the morning my time. So, we'll see how we go with that. But, I mean, for this game, England's like all the stats, unsurprisingly, it's all them. Run meters 732 to 253, clean breaks 14-2, defenders beaten 39-13, penalties conceded for Tonga 19-9. It's among the highest you will see by one team conceded in a game. Not the highest, but yeah, that's a lot of penalties. 3 cards, 2 yellows and a red. Tackling percentage, England's at 85. They made 75. Tonga's at 67, which is, yeah, pretty low. 79. Wasn't all bad news. I mean, Lever Fafita, he's been good 2 weeks in a row now. He makes 10 out of 11. I think he was the top Tongan tackler in that Scotland game as well. So he's looked the business. Vaiano, the fullback, I mentioned him with the almost try. That clean break, 100-plus run meters for him. Radwan, though, 104 run meters, 8 defenders beaten, and 3 clean breaks. And that's without kind of seemingly being present the whole game. Like, the ball wasn't always going his way. Curry, 16 from 17 tackles from number 8. Whether he's sold everyone on him being a number 8 yet kind of remains to be seen. He had 39 run meters and 2 defenders beaten with ball in hand. But, yeah, I mean, England blew some chances, honestly. England could have had more tries. I mean, Tonga could have had, like, if they converted a couple of those lineouts, or that Vaianu one had actually been a try, they could have gotten a few more points, but yeah, it's a pretty messy one for them. So you guys let me know your thoughts on the game. Were you pretty happy with England's performance? I mean, especially given the Farrell kind of removal last minute for Tonga. Are you kind of disappointed with the discipline, or do you think they get the raw end of the stick sometimes with the calls? England Rugby Store always has a sale, I think, generally, after England's victory. I see they've got 15% off at the moment. So if you want some England gear, check it out. They're an affiliate of the channel. Link in the description for them. But yeah, you guys take care, and I will go see my children because, 10 hours of rugby? Been a long day. But yeah, pretty good one. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later. Bye.